Welcome to Greenable Woodbridge. I am your host, Carolyn Ehrlich, and today we have with us Helene Barr, who is the Bureau Chief for DEP, Department of Environmental Protection. I can't imagine how you do all this. It's climate change and clean energy.
You got it.
So it is really, really important. And the reason why you're here today is because you are one of the primary authors of a report called 80 by 50. Now, I just have to make my comment first. So when the governor came out with his energy master plan, I said to myself, great goals, impossible dream. But you and your team took a look at those goals, and you actually came up with strategies to achieve every one of these goals. It was just such fascinating reading, and I've been so motivated that I've been making everybody who I work with totally crazy. So let's start off by explaining the name and why this work is so important and crucial, really.
Sure. So I think maybe a little bit of background for the viewers might be helpful. Back in 2007, the New Jersey legislature passed a law known as the Global Warming Response Act, and this set up two goals for New Jersey. The first one was known as the 2020 goal, and the idea is we have to reduce our greenhouse gas emissions back to 1990 levels by 2020. And I'm super happy to report that we have done that, which is great for New Jersey. But the second goal, which we talk to and refer to as the 80 by 50 goal, is much more ambitious. And that is an 80% reduction of our greenhouse gas emissions by 2050. And so to help put the report into context, the report is all about how can we achieve this goal? You know, looking at the energy master plan and looking at emissions in New Jersey, what are the strategies and pathways to transform New Jersey's economy and all of the energy use in the state to really achieve those greenhouse gas emissions? And you know, it's so crucial, right? Climate change is happening, it's a reality. We feel it here in New Jersey, we see it through flooding, through heat waves. You know, we're experiencing those impacts today. Future generations will. So what's great about this report is it sort of sets those high priorities, those pathways, and drills down and provides concrete recommendations for how can we today start this 30-year journey of transitioning ourselves off of fossil fuels.
It's amazing. And so one of the things that you did, each chapter is about a different area that creates our problems, so to speak. And the area that uses the most the greenhouse gas, right? Yes. GHG. I'll stick with that.
Yes.
is transportation.
Yes.
And that is huge. And one of the things that you are talking about is getting us off of our addiction to gasoline-powered vehicles to electrified vehicles. How do you suggest we do that, and how are we going to get to that goal?
Yeah. So of course, like you're saying, 40% of the emissions in New Jersey come from transportation, and it's you and me. It's the cars we drive every day, it's our trucks, it's our cars, it's our SUVs. So how can we transition away from those fossil fuels? And what's really great is this is simply a technology swap at this point. The technology's there. Electric vehicles exist. Viewers have probably seen charging stations in malls or in their municipality. So these things are out there. And there's so much support right now, particularly through the federal government and the state government, to really encourage this. Within New Jersey, we have a program called Charge Up through the Board of Public Utilities. So folks that are interested in purchasing one of these vehicles can actually get upwards of $4,000 off the purchase price of zero-emission vehicles. Residents in New Jersey, there's also a lot of incentives out there in terms of installing the charging equipment as well. So when we move to electric vehicles, you're typically going to be charging them at your home or at your place of work. So there's a slate of incentives that are being offered through the Board of Public Utilities and through the utility programs as well, to install those chargers at a discounted price for folks. And really that is the simplest thing. I know around the state there's been a lot of ride and drive events, so if folks are questioning well, I like this type of car, can it really drive as well as a regular car? I would suggest you just get out there and give it a try. It's fun test driving cars. And even in the next couple of years, we're going to see a major increase in the number of these types of vehicles on the road. GM has just announced that I want to say by 2025 they're going to have 30 new models of electric vehicles and plug-in hybrids for consumers to purchase. And pretty much every major international vehicle maker is making this transition in their fleet. So
it's terrific. The town just put into
That's
electric
amazing.
charging stations, which we got grants from. And one of the great laws that the legislature passed was that all new development, the residential development, has to have charging stations in it. And we are in the middle of doing lots of development, and they will have the charging stations. People are moving in, and they're happy that they put in the conduit. So if they needed to do more than the legislation asked for, they were ready. There's more demand than they are there, so they will be expanding them in all of our apartment buildings.
Amazing.
So that's very, very exciting. And I know there are other technologies that can help. There's biodiesel fuel, there's hydrogen fuel, and maybe most importantly is battery storage. Do you want to talk about some of those things?
Sure, yeah. I'll touch on maybe hydrogen first because it's, really emerging and there's a lot of promise there, and the state is really interested in how can hydrogen help us meet our clean energy goals. Certain parts of transportation is going to be kind of difficult to use just singularly with batteries, and like the lithium-ion batteries that are now in light-duty vehicles, particularly like long-haul, heavy-duty trucking is going to need other solutions. And hydrogen is really a great example. So hydrogen fuel cells, you can kind of think of them like a battery that's just powered with hydrogen. There's an electric chemical reaction that happens and it produces usable electricity. And the waste from this is only water, which is great. We're not releasing any gases or anything noxious out into the world. And so those technologies are emerging right now. And the state actually has a hydrogen fuel cell task force, that's really investigating and looking into how can this be part of New Jersey's future transportation structures. As well, there's renewable diesel and renewable biofuels are out there. These biofuels use things that are from organic products, so like plants, algae, waste, even human or animal waste, food waste, and they can create fuels that can also help to, decarbonize these more difficult parts of the transportation sector, particularly looking at things like ports, marinas, those parts of the state where we have really heavy duty equipment where it's hard to just, have a small battery powering that machinery.
Right. So, one of the things that my team is trying to be innovative, and they are innovative, and one of the things that they're talking about is we are getting an electric-powered garbage truck, and we're getting that through, I believe it's a Volkswagen grant, and we haven't gotten it yet, we're still waiting, but we are getting it. And we are told that there's such a thing as vehicle-to-grid technology that this will enable us to do. Can you not only explain it to our viewers, can you explain it to me?
Yeah, sure, of course. So the electric truck's going to have a really big battery, and what's awesome about this is that battery can then be connected back to our grid, where we get our electricity, and when there's times of high demand, you could actually sell that energy back to the grid, make some money off of it, right? Because you already have all those little electrons stored in your battery.
My team likes that.
Yeah, I know, it's a great idea. And it actually would be viable for future, like any resident could actually do this, if they have an electric vehicle, and if they have an issue where the power goes out in your home, there's a resiliency issue there, you could also use the battery in your car to power some appliances in your home.
That would be fantastic. Whoa. That's definitely a good reason to buy an electric car.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I mean, it's just, it's sort of modern. Like let's just up our game. We all love technology. We all love the new stuff. And that's the convenience of living in the world today is, having these abilities to connect to batteries and use our electricity much more intentionally.
Yep. So that's one of the things they were talking about with this garbage truck, that it could actually, if the power went out, it could be a generator. Okay. And if the power went out in town hall, you just take the truck to town hall and plug it in.
Yep.
So it's beautiful. It's a beautiful technology. It's really great. So, when we talk about transportation, we can't belittle our feet and the bicycles and all of those kinds of really energy-saving methods. Is complete streets part of your strategy? If you want to
yes.
talk about that.
100%. Love complete streets. Yeah, so this is the concept that, roads shouldn't be designed and built just for cars, right? It's not just about getting a car from point A to point B, but that roads should be designed for everybody and every use, that every active use as well. So this concept of having bike lanes, having safe passageway for pedestrians and things like that. And that's definitely a great way to help reduce our greenhouse gas emissions, just by having those protected pathways for other active transportation. Encourages people to get out of their car. It also provides a lot of health benefits, healthier communities.
Of course, right.
And everybody loves a walkable downtown. It can be really great for, economic vitality of areas. And it's better for safety, making sure that our pedestrians have safe access to roads.
Right. And I guess the last piece that I could think of on transportation is New Jersey Transit.
Yes.
And the role that they can play.
Yeah. No, and they're already, every single time somebody steps on New Jersey Transit and uses our public transportation system, you're helping to combat climate change, right? It's just much more efficient than driving your own car. New Jersey Transit has a huge role to play here, our public transportation systems, from the buses and the trains. And, I think in the next 30 years, our hope and our goal is to increase ridership, right? And to plan our communities thoughtfully around transit access so that it's easier.
We're doing that, yeah.
Yep, to do that, right? So it's easier for folks. They don't need a car to go to work, to come back home or see friends and family or go shopping, that we have these really pedestrian-friendly, transit-oriented communities that are, just more thoughtfully planned and compact.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're doing our share there, downtown Woodbridge. Yeah. We have created transit villages around our train station, and we're going to connect the different parts of town with an electric shuttle.
Oh, that's amazing.
So, yeah, there should really only be very, very little need for cars in this area, and and it's only new. The apartments are just starting to be moving into them, and we're already seeing more foot traffic and things happening.
Yeah, I noticed it driving in. There was lots of people just walking, and that's great. It's wonderful.
For us, that's great. Yeah. That means we achieved our goals.
Yeah.
So, anything else on transportation, or? We covered it?
Okay.
Good. Okay, so then the next thing I think is the residential and commercial. And you said in the report that the goal is to cut that use by 89%.
Yes.
I read that and I took a step back and I went, whoa, how are you ever going to do that? And you have a plan.
Yeah, we totally have a plan. And it's going to be multi-decade, right? It's not something we can just turn off a light switch and we're going to be good to go. It's definitely going to be an iterative, long-term process, but you're definitely going to see construction and the way, buildings are constructed in New Jersey change over time. Really with a primary focus on energy efficiency. How can we have the most efficient buildings possible here in New Jersey, making sure that our buildings are well insulated, that we don't have air leakage. We're in the process of encouraging folks to really do more energy audits of their homes and their places of businesses, to really reduce the amount of energy that it takes to power them. And also, most recently we passed an appliance standard law. So we're looking at ensuring that the most efficient appliances are being installed in New Jersey, right? So that they use the least amount of energy as possible. And then on a longer time frame, we're also looking at the potential for electrification of our buildings, right? So a lot of buildings now use natural gas, they use fuel oil or propane to heat them and for cooking. And so, part of it will be exploring other technologies, potentially like heat pumps, to help swap out some of the use of those fuels in our buildings.
So I just recently bought a new refrigerator, and I don't have any idea how old that refrigerator is, so old. Yes. I don't even remember ever buying it. I can't begin to tell you how much my electric bill went down just by buying a new energy efficient refrigerator. Yes. So, I think the PSE&G and most of the utilities do energy audits, and they come into your home for free and give you these suggestions. So does Elizabethtown Gas.
Yeah. I
had them come in and do one. And they're very, very helpful, and then you can usually get grants back from BPU and the Clean Energy Fund. So there's no reason to be wasting your money
Yep.
and wasting energy in this day and age, because the state, everybody
Yep.
is working toward getting us to that goal.
Yeah, we have really ambitious goals at the state for all the utilities to sort of cut the usage of natural gas and electricity. And so I know I see it now, there's more and more advertising, for getting those energy audits done. And every resident should feel like comfortable and that's not a scam, right? Like they're just trying to get in there and help you sort of spend less money, conserve energy, be sort of a sustainable environmental partner in this community.
So you have huge goals for getting less dependency on the gas electrification and using renewables. And I just wonder how we could possibly meet the energy master plan goals and at the same time make sure that homes and businesses have enough power to basically exist.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be a long-term transition, right? And we definitely are going to need, natural gas and things like that in the near term to help us meet our electric demand, right? That's without a doubt. But simultaneously, and we're doing this now, we're taking those big, aggressive steps to start to build out solar in the state and to start to build out that offshore wind. Those are really big components of getting towards that 2050 goal. Additionally, New Jersey's part of a regional electrical grid. And so to the extent that we can continue to partner on a regional level to ensure that our grid is powered by clean energy, that's really important. And back in 2020, we joined the Regional Greenhouse Gas Initiative, which is a great, sort of stepping stone into ensuring that we have the cleanest grid possible.
And that's Reggie.
Yes,
and
Reggie,
we get money back from Reggie. So you want to talk back that a little bit and where that money goes?
Yeah, so Reggie's essentially a cap and trade program where the fossil fuel electric generating units, so those power plants, pay a small fee every time they discharge greenhouse gases. And that funding comes back to the state and we're able to invest it in clean energy, equity projects, climate change projects. And we actually have a little dashboard up on the DEP webpage.
Oh, really?
Yeah, where you can see where every sort of dollar has been invested to date and all the different types of programs. A lot of them so far in this first couple of years of our involvement have been really focused on transportation because 40% of our emissions, we've been helping to fund things like electric garbage trucks, electric school buses, those really big trucks, trying to get some of them to be battery powered, things like that.
That's one of the grants I hope to go after one of these days is the electric-powered school buses.
Yes,
because all of them sitting in front of the schools, idling away, they can't help themselves, and it's bad for the children's health and it's bad for the environment.
Yeah.
So, I want to go back to transportation for a minute because New Jersey Transit does more than just offering rides. I know that they're looking at microgrids now and better ways for them to use the energy that they need to run. Do you know more about that? Or
No,
it wasn't on the.
I'm sorry, I don't.
No,
Yeah.
see, I just threw that at you.
You're throwing them at me, no, you're not.
So yeah, but I mean that's an interesting area because they need a lot of power.
No, they do need
run.
a lot of power to run all the trains and everything.
Yep,
but
yep.
I know they have been looking at microgrids, and I don't know exactly the status of it, but they have a whole sustainability team there. That's really focused on looking at getting their buses to be, electric buses and things like that.
Right. Yeah, no, they're really, and we're doing a microgrid here in downtown Woodbridge, which is really exciting, and it's just about, we've been planning it and working with BPU for a while.
You guys have been on it for a long time.
Yeah, and now it's, within the next few months, it's going to start to go live.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so we're really kind of excited about that, and it'll be fun to watch. Now, industry. That is another area where there are a lot of GHG emissions.
Yes.
What is the plan to work with industry?
Yeah, and industry it's complex, right? Because every industrial business in New Jersey, right, they not only use electricity to power and fuels and heating oil to heat the business, but then they also have process emissions, right? Sort of unique things just from what their process is, what they're making. So in our report, we really focus on looking at them from that energy efficiency perspective, we're encouraging, business owners, like, please do energy efficiency audits, look at how you can improve your use of energy in your facilities. And then the other big thing is, often these industrial facilities here in New Jersey, they have vast rooftop spaces, right? That could really house a lot of great solar PV. So we're encouraging the industrial sector to really think about how they can incorporate renewables onto their business sites. And that will definitely be the first major steps in the next coming years for that portion.
I actually, just before you got here, had a discussion with one of our developers who's building a very big warehouse, and odds are he will not need all the solar power for his tenant. He's got a lovely neighborhood next door.
There you go.
And we're going to try to get some community solar
yeah.
to them. And being that they've been so kind putting up with the construction of that warehouse, it might be a nice little gift to give back to them. The next thing is, I don't know if people realize that their waste is generating greenhouse gases. You want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, waste is a big issue. I mean, about 5% of our inventory, our greenhouse gas inventory in the state, comes from waste. And primarily that's really driven through food waste. So all that leftover food scraps that we end up throwing in the trash, that ends up going into landfills, and then over time it produces a really potent greenhouse gas called methane. Yeah, and so that's short-lived. It doesn't live as long in the environment as carbon dioxide, but it's 25 times more powerful. So it's really important. And what's kind of crazy too is that like 1 in 10 folks in New Jersey alone are food insecure, and children as well are food insecure in New Jersey. So, the simplest thing people can do is just try not to waste your food. Don't overbuy, try to use as much of the food as you can. And if you have the capacity, you have the land and the space, try to compost, right? Because when you're composting, you're not sending it to the landfill. And there's great byproducts. If you like gardening, it creates soil, a lot of other beneficial uses are there.
Yep, nobody should be throwing out any food waste.
Yes, no, definitely
always another use for it.
Definitely. Yeah, and I mean, there's so many food rescue organizations here in the state as well. So, if you do accidentally overbuy and you have way too many cans of food or something else that you can give to, some of the food rescue organizations here, like, we definitely encourage folks to donate what they can. Or if you're a business owner, you have a lot of food waste.
We actually, working with Gary Sotomayor, who's a friend of both of ours, we have a very active food security program. And right now, as we go out to all of our restaurants for their inspections, we're handing them a card that explains to them what they can and can't do with their extra food, and send it over to the pantries. So we're being very active on that. Another thing that I wanted to ask you to talk about is, so I read about this, and these concepts are totally new to me. Carbon sequestration and carbon sinks, and they were very impressive. So
I think we might have a carbon sink in the background here. Some beautiful greenery. Yeah, so carbon sequestration is just the concept that plants and vegetation, through photosynthesis actually absorb carbon, and then they store it in their biomass, so in like the tree trunks and the tree leaves, but they also store it underground in the soil. Right, so these natural environments, not only are they providing habitat for animals, are they beautiful to look at and enjoy, provide us recreational opportunities, they're also helping to sort of suck those greenhouse gases out of the atmosphere. And so when we have sort of forests, and particularly tidal wetlands, we call those sinks, right, because they've absorbed so much carbon, it's been buried there over time.
This is a sink in the background.
Yep, that's what I thought.
That's perfect. And one of the things that I think is part of this is we're doing a living shoreline.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So that would be the same kind of thing right by our river there as part of our marina. We are. Do you want to talk a little bit about living shorelines?
So living shorelines are really like composed of rocks and vegetation, sand and soil, and it sort of fortifies the coast, and streams and rivers and stuff to help avoid erosion. And that's really important for climate change, because when soil starts to erode, those gases, that carbon that's been stored can be released back into the atmosphere. And so living shorelines are definitely part of sort of the palette of solutions. We like to talk about these sort of natural climate solutions. What are the natural things, the way that the environment already helps us address climate change? It's living shorelines, it's the restoration of our tidal marshes, it's also planting trees, ensuring that our forests remain forest and stay protected and continue to sort of, do that sequestration for us. And one of the things the department is working on right now is a natural working land strategy for the state. And so it's really looking at all those different types of land areas and developing very specific strategies about how we can continue to support and protect them and ensure that they can, for the long haul, provide that ecosystem service for us.
That is exciting, and that's something that we can do.
Yes.
That's easy.
Yes.
So we only have a few minutes left.
Yeah.
So if you have some final comments, some summaries about this phenomenal endeavor that you've undertaken, please share with us.
Yeah, no, I guess the one thing I want viewers to understand and to know is that, we can do this, right? Like the solutions exist for us to stop climate change, for us to reduce our greenhouse gases. It's as simple as considering getting an EV for your next car purchase. It's as simple as, being more intentional with your energy usage, buying more efficient appliances, when you have the capacity to put more insulation in your home, buy better windows and doors. It's not being as wasteful with your food, right? They're all pretty simple things. The technologies exist today for us to really make a change, and it just is on us to start making those changes, and we all have to sort of work together to do those things.
This has been amazing, and like I said at the beginning, you motivated me. I hope we're motivating all of our residents to start making the change, because it's actually, when like you said, it's possible, then you do. My philosophy has been every little thing you do makes a gigantic difference. Yes. And this is what your report is proving, that we can make it happen. So thank you, first of all, DEP and your team, for all the work that you have done. And you have made the impossible dream a reality, or you will be making it a reality. So thank you so much for being here today. And thank you for watching Greenable Woodbridge and being part of the excitement and part of the change.